Namo Buddhaya. When we come to this human world, we met lots of people around us. Even for today, we have people who we like most, who we love most. They may be your parents, they may be your life partners, they may be your neighbors, maybe. They may be your relatives, whatever they are, whoever they are. Remember, we have a little bond between those people and our mind. Don't we have that little attachment? Yes, that is the attachment, that is the bond which keeps us all together. The nature of our mind is when this attachment gets too much tightened, when those people fade away from our life, when they become changed, either from the characteristics and from the problems, when they become changed or when they fade away from our life, we may start to suffer. Because we hold on to them tightly. The more tightly we hold on to those people, the more we will suffer when they become changed, when they become impermanent. So our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, advised us to think about this reality whenever possible, right? Throughout the day, you have to think about this. At least one time of a day, if you can think this, you will be able to get through those problems and difficult situations in your life. So what is the reality of this life? Supreme Buddha said, Sabbehi me piyehi manapehi nana bhavo vina bhavoti. Everything that I love, everyone that I love in my life will fade away one day. That is the reality. Okay? We all have to be departed from every loved one and every loved thing in our life. Isn't that true? Yes, that is the real truth, right? Whoever person we are with, we have to say goodbye to them at least at the death, right? We have to say goodbye to them. We have to leave these people. So that is the reality. The problem is we are not thinking about this thing. We are afraid to think about this. Supreme Buddha said, you need to think about this reality. Why? The more you think this reality, your mind gets prepared to face that moment, face that experience. Right? If you are being prepared to face such a terrible and difficult moment, you can easily get over from that problem and difficult time and maintain your peacefulness within yourself without being distracted. Because your mind is prepared for that terrible moment, to face that terrible moment. And you already know that you are going to be departed from these people one day. The more you think it, remember, you will be able to deal with those difficult moments. And also, when you're thinking about this, you will always be motivated to love the people around you. Right? Normally we don't think about that. Right? When we are not thinking about that, we always try to hate people. Right? We always try to hurt people around us who always loves us. But if you think, one day, they will depart from my life. One day I have to say goodbye to them and leave this world. So before leaving, I have to love them. I have to make them happy. If you can think like that, you will start to love your people around you. Sometimes you may have problems with your life partner, right? If you can think, I am being departed from these people one day. So before that happens, I have to give something valuable to their life. I have to make these people's life a better one. If you can think about this reality, if you can love the people around you, right, you yourself will become peaceful and happy, and as well as the people around you, the people who love you most and the people you love most will become happy. So always think that one day that I have to be departed from all the loving things and loving people around me. So before that happens, I have to do something good, and I have to collect something good for my life, and I have to give something good for the people around me. When you think that, you will become peaceful. Try it and see the difference. Namo Buddhaya, Theruvan Saranai. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome everyone to another video. From today's video, I would like to share some thoughts about going for refuge to these three jewels or three refuges in Buddhism. Now, traditionally, all Buddhists go for refuge to these three gems or three jewels. And in other words, we call them three refuges, right? And it is a traditional way. And most of the time, the traditional Buddhists, they do it as a chanting, right? Whenever they do their prayers, they say, Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, I go for refuge to the Buddha. Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, I go for refuge to the Dhamma, the Buddha's teachings. Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, I go for refuge to the Sangha, the monastic and the spiritual community. So one can think, okay, it is same like the other religions, you know. You go for refuge, you believe in this Buddha and his teachings and the monastic community. It is same. But if you take a closer look at going for refuge, the process of going for refuge, there's a clear reason. There's a clear reason why we do this, right? And also we have to remember that just because we chanted Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, or just because we chanted that I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, doesn't mean that you truly go for refuge to the Buddha. Okay? So there's a way to do that. So let's discuss how we should do this. First of all, what are these three jewels? The first jewel or the first refuge in Buddhism is called Buddha. Buddha is the historical Buddha, the greatest teacher who taught the Buddhist teachings to all of us. The greatest teacher who taught the reality of life. So we consider him as the teacher, right? The guiding light of our life. So why we go for refuge to the Buddha? Sometimes some people can say, okay, now you're believing the Buddha as a god. No, it is not the same way, because Buddha wasn't a god, and nor did the Buddha claim himself to be a god, right? So the Buddha was a simple human like all of us who achieved something beyond that an average human could achieve, the liberation. So why we go for refuge to the Buddha? It is because he's the biggest role model of our life, right? So to have an inspiration from a character, we go for refuge to the Buddha. When we go through the difficult times and hard times in our life, we can always relate to the Buddha's life and say, okay, if Buddha faced such kind of adversities and difficulties, how would Buddha do this, right? So then you can follow the Buddha's life and Buddha's role model. You take the Buddha as the role model and it becomes the biggest inspiration for our life. So that is why we go for refuge to the Buddha, right? So the correct way to go for refuge to the Buddha is to consider the Buddha as the biggest role model of our life, and to learn from his character and to follow his character as well. Okay? Or even though we cannot follow his fullest character, at least we can try some of his amazing qualities in his life. Okay? So that is the first thing and the first reason why we go for refuge to the Buddha, right? And then the Dhamma, that is the second jewel or the second refuge in Buddhism. Dhamma is the Buddha's teachings. Now, why we go for refuge to the Dhamma? It is to consider it as the framework of our spiritual practice. Buddha taught his amazing teachings for 45 years. And these teachings we consider as the Dhamma, right? So these teachings gives us amazing help to live our life and to understand the true meaning behind our life, right? So to provide this framework, provide this path, we go for refuge to the Dhamma. Now, how to truly go for refuge to the Dhamma is to practice it, right? Follow the Buddha's teachings and practice it. And that is the correct way to go for refuge to the Dhamma. Okay? So first we take the role model and we follow his character, and also we follow his teachings, the Buddha's teachings. And third jewel, or the third refuge, is Sangha, the monastic community, the spiritual community, who have achieved the levels of spirituality. Okay? Why we go for refuge to the Sangha, or this monastic community, or the spiritual community, is to give us the support for our spiritual practice. Because we all know we can't do this alone, all alone. We need a community. Everyone needs a community of people to grow. So when we get together and when we get in touch with this spiritual community, we can take advice from them. We can take this experiential advice from them and grow ourselves, right? So as a help, as a support for our spiritual practice, we go for refuge to the Sangha, the monastic community. So this is why we go for refuge. And this is the real reason behind going for refuge to the Triple Gems. So I hope you got some idea about the 3 refuges in Buddhism. So I wish you all, may all of you be healthy, happy, and peaceful. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. Now in today's video, we're going to talk about how to handle a heartbreak and how to heal your heart. One of our viewers have asked from us that how can I handle my sorrow of losing a loved one? And how can I handle the heartbreak, the sorrow of heartbreak? Well, first of all, I must say, a heartbreak or losing a loved one is one of the most hardest experiences that a human can undergo. Right? Because we have that mental bond and mental attachment within people. When that mental attachment is broken, we start to suffer. We start to cry and we start to wail. So there are some ways that you can get over this sorrow. So this whole video is dedicated for all the people out there who are going through heartbreaks and who are experiencing tough times in their life. So this video I think this video will help you to have some light on your way. So there are some ways and things that we can do to heal ourselves. But remember, this healing process takes time. It's like a wound, right? Wound is not healed in a day or 2 days or 3 days. It takes time, right? So we have to be in a constant process of healing that wound. So same goes with a heartbreak. So what we can do to heal our heart from a heartbreak. Number 1, if you need to cry, it's okay to cry. Remember that. Right? There are some people who are going through heartbreaks and they don't like to cry. They pretend to be they're okay. Right? They pretend to the world that they are okay and they have got over the problem. They smile, but not inside. Remember, if you need to cry, it's okay to cry. Right? Go to a private place or go to your room and cry. It's okay, because crying is one of the most natural way of removing the pressure that is building up inside your mind and inside your heart. So it's okay to cry, especially for men, because men always try to hide their tears and they pretend to be they're okay. But remember, men are also allowed to cry. Okay? So if you need to cry and if you need to remove and release that pressure that is building inside, then It's not a problem of shedding a tear. Number 2, you can find a person who you can share your pain and who you can share the sorrow and the pressure that is building inside you, right? Well, you need to be wise when you choose this person. Why? Because there are some people out there who give hate comments and hateful comments to the person who cheated you, right? When they give those hate comments and when they try to build up the hate within you, right? It is not good for you. It's not good for your mental health and it's not good for your physical health either. So what you have to do, choose the person wisely and share your pain with him. Find a person who can share that sorrow, right? That person can be your mother, your father, maybe you're one of your friends, maybe one of your teachers or mentors, whoever it is. Find a person who keep listening to you without saying anything, without giving many advice to you. Find a person who keeps listening to you, right? Find a person who you can share your pain that is building inside. That is the second step. And number 3, this is the most important thing that you need to practice. And this is one of the things that many people who are in relationships doesn't like to think about. And what is that? Our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, said, Sabbehi me piyehi manapehi nana bhavo vina bhavoti abhinnang paccavekitappa. What does that mean? Supreme Buddha said, always reflect and recollect in your mind that one day I have to be parted and separated from all the dear and agreeable people in my life. Isn't that the truth? Yes, it is. That is the truth. But we don't like to think about that when people are in relationships. They will think it will ruin their relationship. It will ruin the bond between people. But in reality, it is not. Remember, when you think that I have to be separated, one day I have to be separated from this person that is sitting in front of me, the person who I love most. One day I have to be separated from this person, at least at the death. So I have a little time to love this person, give my love, my kindness, my attention, my compassion to this person. So I must give this fullest love to this person. Remember, true love will never break your heart. That's amazing, isn't it? True love, when you love someone truly, if that person leaves you, you will never be heartbroken. But if you become attached to that person, if you are mentally too much attached to that person, and that attachment is the thing that breaks your heart. That is why Buddha said attachment brings the suffering to your life. So remember, true love will never break your heart, but the attachment does. Right? So if you are curious about what is true love and what is attachment, there's another video that has done by us about explaining the true love, so you can check out that. So remember, when you truly love someone, your heart will never be broken. Right? So what you have to think is, always, whenever you are possible, you need to think, I have to be separated from these people around me. Right? So when you think that, your mind is getting prepared to face that situation. Right? You can imagine, how I'm going to recover myself if this person left me. How I'm going to do that. Right? Then if your mind is pre-prepared for that situation, when you're going through such a situation in reality, you will start to think, this is what I was thinking about. Right? So, when your mind is get prepared to face that reality in the life, right? You can be more confident, you can be more strong when you face that situation in real life. So that is the thing that you have to always think about that. And also, remember, I told you, heartbreak is like a wound. Remember, if you need to heal this wound, you need to decrease the amount of touching it, right? Now, I don't say that you need to forget the person, right? You cannot forget the person, but you can reduce the amount of attention for those past thoughts. Because when you're alone, right, after a heartbreak, after a breakup, when you're alone, right, you're thinking about the moments and the things that happened in the past. The more you think about those things, the more you will be frustrated and the more you will be sad. So what you have to do, reduce the amount of attention that you are giving to that kind of thoughts, right? So you can do that, but you cannot forget that from time to time, those thoughts will haunt your mind. But when you're not giving much more attention, when you're not giving much attention to those kind of thoughts constantly, and with the time, it will fade away, right? So you don't try to stop the thoughts, but let the thoughts to fade away from your life. And keep this in your mind. Whatever the terrible situation that you are going through in your life, it is going to be changed one day. Because none of our life experiences are permanent, right? Every experience, every tough situation, every happy time, and every experience that we face in our own life are impermanent. They will change with the time. So remember, you're going to heal one day. You're going to be okay one day, right? So have some experience with these tough situations in our life. Remember, these experiences make our life more and more strong. So these are 5 things that you can do to heal your broken heart, right? So I hope you got some ideas to how to heal your broken heart. And most importantly, don't forget to remember what our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught. One day, we all have to be separated from every loving person around us. So we have a short time in this life. So we have to give our fullest love to these people around us and expect nothing from this world, because our expectations will make us suffering. So remember that. And I'm going to end this video with a nice quote. And that is, when you are heartbroken, cry, forgive, learn from your experiences, and let your tears water the seeds of your future happiness. Have you ever wondered why some people are so good and so clever in what they're doing? Maybe there are some people who are studying with you, maybe some people who are in your workspace. There are some people who are very clever and very capable of doing in their profession. Okay, they are very successful in it. What is the reason behind this? What is the reason behind this success? Well, if we can define success in one word, the only word that we can find is consistency. This quality is very important for all of our lives. Not only in your day-to-day life, not only in your career, but also in your spiritual path. Okay? If someone is practicing spiritual path, consistency is the key for success. Okay? Now, what do you mean by consistency? Consistency means doing something every single day or without stopping for a long period of time until you get better at it. Now, if we look at our life,
there are some bad habits we all have in our life. Okay? Why we are so good at these bad things? The reason behind why we are so good at bad things is we have done it for a long period of time, every single day, without stopping. That is the nature of our mind, and that is the nature of our life. Whether it is good or bad, if we are doing it consistently, or if we are doing it over and over for a long period of time, we get so good at it. That is why we are so good at distractions. That is why we are so good at anger, jealousy, and all these evil thoughts in our mind, because we have practiced it over a long period of time. Now, Buddha said, if you need to cultivate wholesome thoughts, and if you need to do, and if you need to be successful in your spiritual life, what are you going to do? You have to cultivate and you have to practice these wholesome thoughts or wholesome activities for a long period of time without stopping. Okay? Every single day. Okay? Let's keep the spiritual life for a part. Let's take the studying and education. Now, if you're someone who is studying and if you're someone who is focused on education, what do you have to do? You have to keep studying. Okay? Sometimes you find very difficult and very challenging to keep studying. Why? Because our mind gets distracted. Okay? Sometimes we lose our focus. Now, in that time, so many of people, they complain that I cannot study. Okay? I'm distracting always. What is the reason? Why? What is the problem with me? Well, the only problem behind the failure or the unsuccessfulness is lack of consistency. Sometimes we try to study and then we feel tired and we feel less focused and then we give up. Okay? And then after maybe like 2-3 days, again we try to study and then again the same thing happens and then we give up. Okay? In that way, you're not going to be successful. Okay? If you want to be successful in any field of your life, maybe studying, maybe in your meditations, maybe in your spiritual life, maybe in kindness, maybe cultivating compassion in your life, what do you have to do? You have to be consistent. That is the only way to be successful in anything. I can still remember when we came to become monks, okay, on the first day, our monks gave this first advice to us. That is, they said that it takes several minutes to become a monk physically. Okay? It takes a few minutes to make your body a monk. But it takes years and years, maybe lifetime, to be a monk from your mind. You will fail, you will be unsuccessful in some parts in your life, but you have to keep going. Do not ever quit. That is the first advice that we were given. So, to be good at anything, to be successful, to be happy, to be successful in your spiritual life, to practice meditations, to be good at that, what are you going to do? Keep doing it every single day. That is the thing. But there's a problem. The real problem or the real enemy for the consistency is the higher expectations. We set a lot of high expectations in our life, and when we are not able to get it, we give up. That is the only thing. Now, so many people come to me and complain that I cannot meditate for 1 hour. What is the problem with me? I cannot focus for 1 hour. Well, in the beginning, no one can do that. Okay, there may be some few lucky people in this world. Okay, they can concentrate instantly. But if you want to be good at in your meditations, in your focusing and your concentration power, what do you want to do? Keep doing it. Okay? Do not set high expectations. Right? Aim for the little achievements. Maybe like you can focus and you can think like before you are starting meditation, you can think, well, if my mind became concentrated or well focused only for 1 minute, that's okay. I'm happy with that 1 minute. Okay? When you focus on that, you can easily achieve it. You can do that. When you achieve it, you feel a sense of happiness in your life. You feel like you achieved that target. So in the next day, when you meditate, maybe you can focus your mind, or you can concentrate your mind for 2 minutes. Okay? So if you keep on focusing on little achievements and without having high expectations in your life in the first time, then you will be good at maintaining your consistency. Because sometimes when we don't see results, okay, when we don't get results quickly as we want, we just give up. That is the biggest problem in our minds, okay? To be successful, you need to spend a period of time that you are not seeing the results, okay? One day I was climbing, and in Sri Lanka, we have a nice mountain where we climb to see the Buddha's footprint, okay? That is called Adam's Peak, or the Sri Pada in Sri Lanka. So once we were climbing, we could not see the mountain top. We don't know where we are going, okay? So one monk said to me, it doesn't matter, you cannot see where you are going, but if you're clear in your next step, take that step, okay? And if you're in the correct path, no matter how fast or slow you go, you will go to your destination that you want to go. So always remember that it doesn't matter how fast or how slow you are moving towards success. The most important thing is that whether you're going to do it every single day in the correct way or not. So remember, consistency is the key for success for anything. So keep doing what you're doing, right? Keep doing the good works that you're doing, even if you don't see the results in your life. Keep doing it, and one day, I'm very sure, okay, I'm very sure that you will achieve your goals definitely. So keep that in your mind. May you be happy and well. Namo Buddhaya.